Discover the miraculous journey of Dinah, how God transformed pain into redemption and restoration. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, in the ancient land of Canaan, there lived a young woman named Dinah, the daughter of Leah and Jacob. Dinah, brimming with youthful curiosity, longed to explore the vibrant city of Shechem, a place bustling with life. With the sun shining brightly overhead, she ventured out, determined to mingle with the daughters of the land. Laughter filled the air, sweet aromas of figs and warm bread wafted through the streets, and Dinah's heart danced with the joy of friendship, unaware of the shadow looming over her innocence. Yet in that euphoric atmosphere, Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, caught a glimpse of Dinah. His heart ignited with a consuming desire. He seized her and violated her, tearing away the fabric of her naivete in a moment of darkness. This act rippled through her family, casting a pall of despair that seemed insurmountable. Jacob, learning of this grievous act, remained paralyzed, a man torn between the love for his daughter and the fear of retaliation from the surrounding tribes. He sat in silence, wrestling with the weight of his despair for Dinah, unsure of how to respond. Yet within the hearts of Dinah's brothers, Simeon and Levi, the flame of righteous anger burned fiercely. Unable to contain their outrage, they conspired late into the night, crafting a plan that was to become a twisted tapestry of revenge. They approached the men of Shechem, feigning friendship while masking the storm brewing within them. Their cunning ruse hinged upon a single condition: all the male townsfolk must undergo circumcision, a painful covenant they believed would sow the seeds of their vengeance. Days unfolded, and the men of Shechem, now weakened by their physical toll, became vulnerable. It was in the dead of night, when silence reigned and shadows embraced the land, that Simeon and Levi struck with fierce wrath. The avengers of their sister's honor left a trail of death and desolation, an act of fury that reverberated through the fabric of their family and the land. But even in the wake of such violence, Dinah's story did not end in despair. Her heart, although heavy with pain, became a canvas upon which God's unseen hand began to paint strokes of redemption. In the depths of her anguish lay the promise of restoration. Would her family's shame ever find absolution? Could God truly bring forth beauty from her suffering? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey.
I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the years unfolded, Dinah would come to witness the mighty hand of God at work, entwining her life's pain with the threads of divine healing. Her journey became a testament to resilience, a reflection of the grace that, even amidst the storms of suffering, reveals God's ability to orchestrate a wondrous tale of hope and renewal. Would Dinah find the identity that transcended her pain? And in that quest, discover that even the deepest scars could be turned into stories woven with grace, echoing through generations to come. In the days that followed the tragedy at Shechem, whispers filled the air as news of the massacre spread through the land. The men of Shechem, once proud and prosperous, lay slain, while the house of Jacob wrestled with the storm of guilt and grief that now cloaked their family. Dinah, though still bearing the scars of her violation, became a silent witness to the tumultuous aftermath of her brother's actions. As time passed, her heart began to seek healing. It was during one of the long evenings by the tent, where the twinkling stars spoke of divine constancy, that Dinah found herself entreating the Lord in prayer. O God of my fathers, you who have promised, hear my cry. Transform my anguish into purpose. May my pain not be in vain. In her supplication, she sought the hand of God to mend her spirit and redirect her story. Within her, a transformation began to unfold, for the Lord did not abandon her in her sorrow. In the silence of her prayers, she felt the whisper of his presence, leading her heart to embark upon a journey of forgiveness. Though her brothers had acted out of rage, and her family faced the consequences of their deeds, she understood that the way forward lay not in bitterness, but in grace. Meanwhile, Jacob, troubled by the turn of events, gathered his sons. "You have brought trouble upon us," he lamented. "By this act we have become a stench among the inhabitants of the land, who will unite against us." His heart heavy with fear, he sensed that the consequences of their revenge would ripple far beyond their immediate safety, calling forth potential enemies who sought blood for blood. He implored them to consider the heart of God, urging repentance and a return to righteousness. In the days that followed, Dinah's resolve strengthened. Inspired by the prayers of her mother Leah and the teachings of her father Jacob, she began to step into her calling, seeking solace not only for herself, but also for her brothers. As she reached out to them in love and compassion, her very presence became a beacon of hope. "Let us not dwell on the past, nor continue in this cycle of violence," she urged her brothers. "God has intended more for us." Simeon and Levi, still wrestling with guilt, were deeply moved by Dinah's heart.
Her willingness to forgive pierced through the hardness of their shame, igniting within them a desire for redemption. They began to recognize that their actions had consequences, not only for the men of Shechem, but also for their own souls. Slowly, the family began to reconcile, seeking a new path guided by Dinah's grace-laden resolve. As Dinah began to mend the rift within her family, she felt an unmistakable call towards her purpose. It was then she took her courage, venturing towards the women of Shechem, those who had been left behind in the wake of tragedy. She lifted their burdens, offering kindness, encouragement, and the promise of healing. The unity she sought was blossoming, and the brokenness of the past began to yield its power, revealing a narrative that was slowly stitching together a tapestry of restoration. But with every stride she took towards healing, an awareness began to loom in Dinah's spirit. A stirring of something greater was at hand. Could this be the movement of God revealing a deeper plan? The legacy of her suffering, as painful as it was, might pave the way for an unforeseen blessing, not only for her, but for generations yet to come. For even in the murmur of the night, a prophecy stirred, echoing the heart of her journey, that out of the ashes of despair might rise a covenant with new beginnings. Would Dinah's choice to forgive and heal usher in a new chapter of hope for a people chosen by God? What masterpiece could be crafted from the threads of her trials, woven together by the very hand of the Almighty? The answers lay enveloped in the promise of what was yet to be revealed, as the Lord's sovereign plan continued to unfold before her. In the days that followed, Dinah stood upon the threshold of her renewed identity, fueled by her resolve to bring healing not only to herself, but to the entire family. As she shared her vision of compassion with her brothers, a light shone upon the darkness that had encircled their hearts. "We can no longer be defined by our past," she spoke with fervor, "for the God of our fathers calls us to be instruments of peace." Simeon and Levi began to grasp the weight of their choices, the blood of Shechem etched indelibly upon their minds. Yet in the warmth of Dinah's embrace, the chilling remnants of their anger began to melt away. "Let us make amends," Simeon suggested, his voice trembling. "We must seek reconciliation, not only for our own sakes, but for those who are suffering because of our actions." With a spirit of unity rare among them, the brothers ventured back to the land where pain had once ruled. They approached the families of the slain, hearts heavy yet hopeful. "Forgive us," they cried together, "for our anger led us astray. We sought vengeance, but by seeking judgment we lost our way." Though some recoiled in fear, a few recognized the seeds of sincerity planted in the sincerity of their voices. Dinah stood among them, a bridge between the two worlds, her heart echoing with the words of the prophet who spoke of mercy. As it is written, "Seek peace and pursue it." May we choose a path where mercy reigns, leading to healing for all. She spoke as the prophet Isaiah, with a heart overflowing with a divine calling. Slowly, the hearts of some men began to soften. They raised their eyes, seeing not the faces of enemies, but fellow humans encased in grief, yearning for peace. A flicker of hope ignited in the eyes of the bereaved families, for healing resides in vulnerability, and in vulnerability there is strength. Days passed, and unity began to take root. Dinah's quiet presence inspired the women of Shechem. They gathered in their homes to weave together gifts of fruit, flowers, and grains, offerings of reconciliation. The sound of laughter, once silenced,
returned anew as they shared stories, healing wounds through the bonds of sisterhood. Yet within this growing bond, Dinah felt a stirring, a whisper urging her forward. This was not merely an act of reconciliation, it was the dawning of something greater, a restoration in the fabric of their lineage. "O Lord," she prayed one evening, gazing at the stars, "you have promised that you will not forsake those who seek you. Unveil before us your divine purpose." Jacob, observing the shift within his household, called out to the tribe of Israel to honor these acts of unity. "My sons, let us remember the God who delivered us from Egypt," he reminded them. "Our history is marked by both pain and purpose. This pain found a voice today, a voice that seeks not vengeance, but a legacy of faith." As he blessed them, a sense of resolve settled over the family, binding them in a renewed covenant of love. No longer just the sons of Jacob, they began to see themselves as members of a greater narrative, chosen vessels to carry forth God's promise. At the edge of the camp, Dinah sat in reflection. She had borne witness to the breaking of chains and the forging of bonds, yet the heaviness of future burdens lingered in her spirit. As echoes of pain returned to mind, she sensed that their journey was far from complete, nudging her towards unanswered questions of destiny. For could it be that her longing for reconciliation would unlock pathways to unforeseen destinies? What other storms loomed on the horizon that would test the unity in faith? Thus the calling of Dinah persisted, a path woven by grace and strength. The divine plan of God stirred in the depths of her heart, hinting at something profound that lay just beyond her grasp. The seeds of restoration had been planted, but the fullness of the harvest remained hidden, awaiting the appointed time for revelation. As the days wore on, the size of the household began to lighten, woven together by the threads of newfound unity.
Dinah continued to gather the women of Shechem, sharing stories of their trials, revealing the vast tapestry of sorrow interlaced with hope. In the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they sat beneath the stars, voices lifted in songs of praise, echoing the words of the psalmist. "Sing praises to the Lord, O you his saints, and give thanks to his holy name." Psalm 34. Yet amidst the joy, a shadow of uncertainty loomed over Dinah. In the stillness of the night, she often found herself conversing with the Lord, seeking clarity about the path ahead. One night, she sought refuge in prayer. "O God, my heart longs for understanding. Lead us forth in your way." At that moment, a strange stirring arose in the camp. News had spread quickly, reaching the ears of their patriarch, Jacob. "Gather, my sons," he proclaimed with urgency, fear threading through his voice. "For the sons of Esau are drawing near, their anger rekindled like a fire." This revelation sent tremors through the hearts of the brothers. "Surely they come for vengeance," cried Levi, clenching his fists. But Dinah, emboldened by her desire for peace, interjected, "Perhaps this is not a moment for fear, but one for resolve. Let us not react with hatred, for the God who watches over us is the same God who governs their hearts." With courage bolstered by her faith, Dinah proposed a meeting with Esau's men. Reluctantly, her brothers agreed, buoyed by her unwavering conviction. "We must treat our foes as brothers," she affirmed, quoting the wisdom of Proverbs. "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Proverbs 15:1. Thus they prepared for the encounter, gathering a bounty of gifts, flocks and grains, as offerings of goodwill, a gesture to convey their willingness to mend and not to sever. As they approached the encampment of Esau's descendants, Dinah's heart beat fiercely against her chest. Yet as they neared, the sight of Esau standing before them, not as an adversary, but with an expression of weary curiosity, took her breath away. "What brings you to our borders, O sons of Jacob?" Esau spoke, his voice resonating with the weight of history and family ties. Simeon stepped forth, the burden of guilt hung heavy upon him. "We come seeking to make amends, for our past has been stained with blood, and our anger has bequeathed only sorrow," he admitted, his voice trembling. As the brothers spoke, Dinah watched as the tension began to dissipate. Esau's eyes softened, as if recalling the brotherhood they once shared. "Forgiveness is a stronghold of the righteous. Let us not be a reminder of ancient wounds, but architects of new destinies," Esau replied, extending his hand. In that moment, amidst the gathering twilight, the grip of animosity began to unravel, replaced by the gentle embrace of reconciliation.
Dinah, standing witness, felt a surge of divine significance.
Could this unexpected unity herald something greater? A restoration not only of relationships, but of the destiny woven into their very beings. Yet even as the blessings flowed, whisperings of the future beckoned her. "O Lord," she breathed, "what else might you call us to in this tapestry of grace?" And thus the winds of change began to sweep through the hearts of men and women alike, hinting at an unfolding divine plan, one that would establish not only peace among the tribes, but also set in motion a lineage rich in promise and destiny. Little did Dinah know, this was but the beginning of an ever greater narrative, for the hearts once hardened were but a prelude to a more profound revelation. The land they stood upon was laden with the promise of destinies yet unseen, waiting for the appointed time to emerge, a time ordained by the sovereign hand of the Almighty. And it came to pass that as Dinah beheld the union born from their reconciled hearts, a profound peace settled over the camp like a soft healing balm. The air was filled with an unspoken promise, the promise that hope could rise even from the ashes of despair. Esau gestured for them to gather closer, the tension of their past slowly melting away. "Let our families unite," he suggested, his voice steady but warm. "For while we have carried the burdens of our fathers, we can choose a different legacy for our children." With that declaration, the brothers shared laughter that echoed against the hills, their sons and daughters dancing as children do, innocent and unaware of the strife that had threatened their fathers. In this newfound harmony, Dinah felt the presence of the Lord surrounding them, invigorating her spirit with whispered affirmations of faith. Yet, unbeknownst to them all, in the shadows of the yet to come, a storm brewed, hidden beneath the surface of their joy. For Satan, seeking to devour what God had appointed, watched with shrewd intent. He plotted to stir division among this newfound unity, desiring to sink his fangs into the tapestry of peace that had just begun to unfold. Dinah, sensing a shift in the winds of the atmosphere, withdrew one evening to the sacred oaks of Mamre, a place where she felt the presence of God most keenly. With outstretched arms, she cried unto him, "O Lord of hosts, let not our good turn to ash. Preserve this harmony birthed from love and forgiveness." And in that silence which followed her prayer, a gentleness enveloped her like the morning mist. The Spirit of the Lord spoke softly to her heart. "Behold, Dinah, your prayers have reached me. Such unity stirs heaven. Yet beware, for the enemy prowls like a lion, seeking whom he might devour. Stand firm in your faith. Your family is set to become a beacon of light, but the darkness will not remain idle." Her heart leaped with understanding. The light and darkness would wrestle for dominion over their lineage. Such was the weight of the call upon her and her family.
With newfound determination, she returned to Esau and her brothers. "A mantle of grace has been placed upon us," she proclaimed. "Let us fortify this bond with vigilance and love, for it is God who has ordained our paths." Convinced by her fervor, the sons of Jacob and Esau dedicated themselves to guarding the unity they had achieved. They built an altar, naming it El Elohe Israel, declaring that the God of Jacob was their God, a testimony of their reconciliation and a plea for protection against the dark clouds that threatened their nascent families. As they prayed, a cloud of glory seems to hover above them, and the blessings descended like rain after a drought. Yet in the depths of Dinah's spirit, uncertainty lingered, foreshadowing the trials yet to come. Who would rise against them? And what of her own longings that echoed deep within? Little did she know, their story was entwined with a far greater legacy than mere family feuds. The lineage of promise would be knit together through trials and triumphs, ultimately revealing the tapestry of salvation for generations yet to come. For still ahead loomed a pivotal moment, the intersection where pain would transform into redemption, weaving a new narrative crafted by the hands of the Almighty. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, resonating with the echo of God's promises, Dinah whispered once more into the night, "What else, O Lord, must we learn from this journey?" And deep within her, she sensed that the divine blueprint was still unfolding. A covenant relationship was being forged, one that would affect all of humanity. And it came to pass after many days that a shadow fell upon the camp at Mamre, though the light of unity shone brightly among the families. As Dinah went about her days, serving beside her kin and nurturing the bond that had formed, she could feel an unease creeping into the hearts of her brothers and their sons. They gathered often, but the laughter that once rang fresh began to falter, replaced by muted conversation and sidelong glances. "Why does the spirit of fear haunt us?" Jacob pondered aloud one evening, his voice carrying the weight of a father's worry. "Did we not tear down the walls that divided us? Have we not offered our sacrifices and sought the favor of the Most High?" Esau, sitting beside him, clenched his fists. "It is the enemy who seeks our discord, brother. We must be vigilant, for even amidst joy, the adversary lurks, sowing seeds of suspicion." Their children, sensing the shift in the air, ceased their laughter, fearful of the dark undertones threading through their father's voices. Dinah, aware of the heaviness that lingered in the wake of her once fervent prayers, sought the wisdom of her mother Leah. "Mother," Dinah spoke, her voice trembling with uncertainty, "what do we do when the light we have fought so hard to embrace seems to flicker? Is our peace tenuous, destined to be torn asunder?"
Leah looked deeply into her daughter's eyes, the wisdom of ages reflecting in her gaze. "Child, the peace of God surpasses all understanding. Do not allow fear to infiltrate your heart. Instead, let us seek Him together in fasting and prayer, for the Lord is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Finally resolved, Dinah gathered the women of the camp, urging them to seek the Lord in earnest. By day they labored in the fields, and by night they convened in prayer, lifting their voices in unity. "O God," they cried, their hearts entwined, "preserve our families, let not the enemy prevail against us. Strengthen our bonds and fill us with your peace." As they prayed, a stirring in the atmosphere enveloped them, a profound stillness that beckoned their attention upward. The clouds parted, revealing majestic constellations, sparkling brightly as if to affirm their prayers had reached the heavens. One night, as Dinah lingered in prayer, her heart took flight in the quiet of the night. "O Lord," she whispered, "reveal your plan, show us how to stand against the wiles of the adversary." And suddenly, the breath of the Almighty fell upon her, like an autumn breeze through the trees. "Dinah, the path ahead will not be without trials, yet through the storms I am with you. This very family shall birth a nation, and from your lineage the promise will be fulfilled. Fear not the darkness, for it cannot extinguish the light." With renewed assurance, Dinah sprang up, her spirit ignited with the fire of divine purpose. She understood now, their struggle was not merely for peace, it was for the very future ordained by God, a preparation for the trials that would shape them into a strong vessel for His glory. But as the dawn broke over Mamre, a distant sound echoed like the swelling tide, a rumble that heralded a conflict yet to come. The shadows fell darker, and the enemy's whispers grew louder, plotting to unravel the threads of unity. What trials awaited this family called to be a beacon? What would it require to maintain their covenant with God? And as Dinah looked toward the rising sun, one thought burned in her heart. How may we be prepared, O Lord, for what is to unfold? For she sensed in her very core that their story was entwined with His greater plan, a sacred saga that would echo through the ages, entwined with both challenge and divine glory. And it came to pass that as the sun ascended above the horizon, casting its golden rays upon the camp at Mamre, Dinah felt an urgency grow within her heart. The air thickened with tension, and the worries of her kin weighed heavily as an iron shackle on their spirits. She gathered her brothers, for their bond was the very essence of their strength. "Brothers," Dinah implored, her voice steady though her heart raced, "we have been given the promise of the Almighty. Though the shadows gather, we must not yield to despair. We are the seed of Abraham, entrusted with his covenant."
Reuben, the eldest, nodded slowly, yet a furrowed brow betrayed his internal struggle. What use is covenant when our unity is threatened? We must be resolute, but how can we stand against the whispers of fear? "By remembering the Lord our God," Dinah replied, her conviction unwavering. "He brought us from the well of sorrow into His light. Shall we not hold to the truth that has made us whole?" It was then that Simeon, moved by Dinah's words, rose to his feet. "Let us call upon the name of the Lord. We must reaffirm our faith before the altar. Let each of us offer our hearts in supplication." This sparked fervor among the siblings. They gathered around their father Jacob, who had sat solemnly under the oaks. "Father, we seek to fortify our spirits and our resolve. Let us renew our commitment to God," Levi urged, brotherly love pouring from his soul. Jacob, touched by the unity of his children, stood and raised his arms in blessing. "May the God of our fathers strengthen you. Trust in Him, even in the face of darkness. The adversary wishes to sow division, but we shall not succumb. Our Father's promise is greater than our fears." Together they built an altar, laying stones as a testament to their faith.
The sound of chiseling echoed through the camp, each hit of hammer and stone resounding like a heartbeat, pulsing with life. As twilight descended, they gathered under the canopy of night, hearts interwoven in prayer, beseeching the Almighty for deliverance. "O Lord, hear our cries," they called, their voices harmonizing like the chorus of angels. "Grant us strength in our weakness, and let not the enemy prevail against us. We are your chosen remnant, Lord." As they prayed, a wind began to blow, rustling the leaves, and the flame of their altar caught fire, consuming their offerings. They watched in awe as the light towered high, illuminating the night and dispelling the darkness that sought to creep near. It was then that Dinah felt a gentle presence beside her, a whisper of the divine. "Take note, Dinah," the voice began with warmth, "for the path you tread shall become a testament to generations. You shall lead many through trials, preserving the faith that shall be forged in the crucible of affliction." Her heart raced even as she sought to understand his words. "O Lord, what does this mean? What trials are to come?" "Prepare your heart for the weight of destiny," the voice whispered again. "What you encounter will not be in vain. In anguish you shall find the seeds of redemption. For I have set before you a journey that shall reflect my glory. Walk in faith." And as she stood there, wrapped in divine encounter, the stars brightened above, holding witness to her sacred calling. Dinah felt embers of divine expectation within her spirit, for she sensed that the great unfolding was woven into the fabric of the heavens.
Thus, in that sacred hour, united in prayer and anticipation, the family at Mamre stood on the precipice of a new chapter, unaware of the trials encroaching, yet assured of the promise that would be fulfilled. For indeed, what they did not know was that these very hardships were the forge of God's grand design. Through their trials, a lineage shaped for greatness would emerge. And with that thought, another question arose, whispering upon the wind. What legacy shall arise from our pain, and who will carry the message of his faithfulness through all the earth? As dawn broke over the land, the first rays of light pierced the dewy veil of night, illuminating the altar that stood proudly, a testament to the fervent prayers of Jacob's household. The majesty of God's presence lingered among them, filling their hearts with courage and hope. Dinah awoke early, her spirit still resonating with the divine whisper she had received. She resolved to gather her brothers once more. "Brothers," she called softly, bringing them to the morning's quiet embrace, "we have sought the Lord, and he has shown us that trials are upon us. Yet we must not fear. We shall stand united in faith." "Indeed," Judah expressed, his voice resolute, "for it is the Lord who fights for us. I feel his strength surging through our family." "Let us prepare our hearts as one," Naphtali added, his voice imbued with fervor. "We shall face whatever comes with the shield of his promise." With their hearts fortified, they ventured into the fields, tending to their flocks, yet their minds were burdened by a growing unease. In the distance there were rumors of the Canaanites gathering, their eyes set upon the land which had been promised to Jacob's descendants. As the day progressed, the wind shifted, carrying tidings that sent ripples of worry through the camp. The whispers reached Jacob, and he gathered his sons around him. "My children," he began, his voice heavy, "the world beyond our borders is fraught with enmity. Our enemies conspire against us. It is time we prepare our hearts and minds, for we must defend our family and our legacy." As he spoke, the echoes of God's promises resonated in Dinah's spirit, a reminder of covenant and preservation. "Father," she interjected, a spark igniting within her, "though trials may beset us, let us not forget the Almighty who has led us thus far. We must call upon him for guidance and strength." "All that you say is true, Dinah," Jacob replied with a containing reverence. "Let us gather again in prayer, lifting our supplications unto the Lord." That evening, as dusk enveloped the earth, the family reconvened at their altar, the flames crackling softly in a rhythmic dance. The aroma of sacrifices filled the air, a fragrant offering unto the Lord. With voices raised, they poured out their souls in earnest prayer, seeking divine intervention amidst the uncertainty. "Hear us, O God of Israel," they cried.
"Preserve our lineage. Let not the darkness prevail." Suddenly, a great calm fell over them, and a stillness enveloped the camp.
It was in that sacred silence that Dinah, her heart attuned to the divine, felt the resonant power of God's presence encircle her. Like a tapestry unfolding, a vision revealed itself to her. The lineage of Israel, forged through suffering, yet emerging in glory. "Lord," she whispered, "is this your plan? Through us shall you weave a legacy of redemption?" In that moment, the ethereal presence answered once more, "Indeed, Dinah, in your strife, a greater purpose takes root. Your trials are but the beginning. I am establishing a testimony that shall echo through the ages, a legacy that shall not be forgotten." As dawn approached, the family remained steadfast, hearts intertwined, for they had not only anticipated darkness, but had also embraced the promise of light, a destiny crafted by God's very hand. And so, as the sun began to rise, illuminating the horizon with hues of gold and crimson, another question lingered in the air, promising even greater revelation. What profound transformation awaits the children of Israel as they navigate the wilderness of their trials? As the sun rose higher in the sky, bathing the land in a warm golden glow, Jacob's household awoke with a palpable tension. The rumblings of distant drums could be heard, a reminder of the Canaanites' looming threat. The air thickened with fear, yet deep within, the stirring of God's promise began to swell within Dinah. She gathered her brothers once more, their faces reflecting a blend of apprehension and resolute faith. "Brothers," she began, her voice steady, "the enemy approaches, but we do not stand alone. For the Lord is our fortress and stronghold. As it is written, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Psalm 46:1. "Let us not waver, but prepare, for our God defends his own." "Let us seek the Lord together," said Reuben, his heart emboldened by Dinah's words. "We must not let fear grip our hearts, for the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." 2 Timothy 1:7. With purpose igniting their spirits, the brothers set about securing their encampment. They gathered their weapons, sharpened their tools, and organized the flocks, each man understanding their role within the family and the greater purpose that stirred in their midst. That evening, under the canopy of stars, they returned to the altar once more. Their prayers rose like incense, intermingling with the cool night air, as they entrusted their fears and hopes into the hands of the Almighty. "O Lord, our God," they cried, "strengthen us in this hour. Let not our enemies triumph over us, for we are your chosen people. Lead us and guide us through the valley." And then, as silence enveloped them, Dinah felt a renewed vision welling up inside her.
Once more, the ethereal presence enveloped her spirit, speaking directly to her heart. "Dinah, do you see? In this trial you shall be a light unto the nations. For in your strife the birth of courage will emerge, and through you I will establish a new thing. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. Her brothers turned to her, their hearts ignited with hope at this divine revelation. "What shall we do?" Judah inquired, his countenance glowing with newfound determination. "We will prepare ourselves not just for battle, but for the blessing that follows it," Dinah proclaimed, her voice ringing clear like a clarion call. "We must show our faith through action, compelling our trust into the Lord's hands as we face the Canaanites." As the night waned, each brother found a quiet corner to meditate on their own fears and hopes while seeking divine counsel. The shadows of doubt began to dissipate, replaced by the unwavering light of faith. Yet, as dawn's light began to creep over the horizon, a stirring in the air signaled something far greater was at hand than they had anticipated. "A sound!" Naphtali exclaimed suddenly, breaking the silence. They all strained to listen, their hearts pounding in anticipation. "Behold, what is that?" Simon murmured, eyes wide with apprehension. An assembly was forming, not merely of warriors, but of something more profound, a bridge of opportunity. In the depths of their spirits, they sensed it. The moment of transformation was drawing near. Little did they know that the challenges ahead were not merely for their survival, but for the unfolding of a divine saga that would echo throughout eternity. "What is the fate awaited for us, O Lord?" Dinah whispered into the dawning light, her heart bubbling with both fear and expectation. For in their vulnerabilities, there was an underlying truth. God was weaving his narrative, and the path of redemption was just beginning to unfold. What profound revelation shall the Lord reveal through our struggle
and how shall his grace manifest in our darkest hour? And it came to pass that the sun rose higher, bathing the encampment of Jacob and Esau in radiant warmth, yet the air remained thick with anticipation. A profound stillness embraced the camp, as if the very creation awaited the unfolding of God's plan. Dinah felt a stirring deep within her spirit, a call to arms not only in the physical, but also in the spiritual realm. With newfound confidence, she gathered her brothers once more. "Hear me, my beloved brothers. The Lord has not brought us to this juncture to falter or to fear. Today we shall declare our faith, becoming vessels of courage and unity in the face of impending trials." Judah stepped forward, emboldened by our words. "In this moment, we must remember our covenant with God."
He promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that we shall be as numerous as the stars, and that through us the nations shall be blessed. Let us stand firm. Encouraged, they turned their eyes toward the horizon, where shadows of the Canaanites began to harbor like storm clouds gathering for a tempest. Yet within their hearts surged a bright light of expectancy. The lessons learned through pain and reconciliation weighed heavy on their spirits. They would not merely react to adversity, but would embrace it as a precursor to God's glorious deliverance. As the first Canaanite raiders advanced, the brothers armed themselves with swords, shields, and most importantly, with prayer. Dinah knelt before her family, lifting her voice with fervent supplication. "O God of our forefathers, protect us, shield us with your might, and grant us strength to conquer. Let today mark the beginning of our legacy forged in faith." With her cry echoing through the camp, a wave of resolve washed over her brothers. Renewed vigor surged within as they stood shoulder to shoulder, poised to face the oncoming tide. Then it happened. A comet of courage arose from among the Canaanites, who saw the fierce determination in the eyes of Jacob's family. They underestimated the unity birthed from pain, wisdom gained through time, and the faith that would not waver. As they charged, rebuking the shadows of the past, Dinah stood firm at the forefront, her hands held high in prayer, a beacon of light amidst the darkness. Suddenly, as the clash of swords met the air, a thunderous commotion enveloped the battlefield. God himself descended. A cloud of his glory hovered, enveloping both warriors and watchers. The chaos transformed into an awestruck silence, and even the Canaanites faltered, recognizing the divine presence amidst boundless turmoil. In that sacred moment, Dinah experienced a revelation that transcended the physical battle, a vision of a destined future, where unity bore great fruit, leading not only to personal victory, but to a nation ordained for greatness. Somewhere, amidst enemies now converted into spectators, a flicker of recognition burned, a divine thread woven into her very existence. With her heart ablaze with faith, she turned to her brothers once more. "Brothers, today, whether in victory or defeat, we shall bear witness to God's majesty, and they shall come to know we stand as one people, guided by his hand." And so, as the battle raged on, the power of unity ignited courage in their hearts. Each clash of steel echoed the prophetic promise over their lineage, a promise not only for survival, but for significance to ripple through the annals of time. They fought not only as warriors, but as the embodiment of a covenant, keepers of God's legacy, sanctified through trials. In the midst of the struggle, when weariness seeped into the hearts of men, Dinah's unwavering faith impelled them forward. "Let us not lose heart," she cried.
"For he who is in us is greater than he who is in the world. We embrace our destiny." Suddenly, the ground quaked beneath their feet. God's presence surged through the realm, scattering fear into distant shadows. The confusion among the Canaanites escalated into chaos, terror gripping their hearts. They turned upon one another, abandoning their initial intent, and in their frantic panic, they retreated, leaving Jacob's family standing unbroken amidst the debris of their enemies' strife. Joy erupted within the camp. A cacophony of praises flooded the air, lifting to the heavens. Dinah danced with exuberant joy, embracing her brothers, gratitude spilling from her heart. "Look what the Lord has done. Truly, his faithfulness has triumphed over every shadow." As the dust began to settle and echoes of victory filled the air, Jacob gathered his family. "This day shall be remembered, for the Lord has fought for us. Let us not only celebrate our victory, but let us also offer our gratitude through worship.
For from our trials we have emerged restored, unified, and renewed with purpose." They returned to the altar they had built together, their hearts rejoicing. With grateful hands they offered sacrifices of praise, affirming their covenant with God. In response, a sweet fragrance arose, representing their hearts of thankfulness and the assurance of ongoing divine protection. Before the altar, Dinah took a moment to reflect, grateful not only for deliverance, but recognizing the deeper truth that lay beneath. "O Lord," she whispered into the night, "from my pain has emerged the gift of purpose. May this victory weave into the tapestry yet to unfold. The generations to come will carry forth this legacy of faith." Indeed, in that encounter with God, a profound destiny had begun, a story of redemption echoing through the ages, valiant and resilient, carving a path to salvation for nations yet unborn. And she marveled at the truth. Underneath every scar was a story, woven with the hand of the Almighty. Thus, Dinah became not just a participant in her family's legacy, but a powerful example of faith and resilience, destined to inspire generations to come. The echoes of her story would resonate throughout the annals of history, a testament to how even the deepest trials can birth profound grace. Let all who hear this tale reflect upon the faithfulness of God, who transforms pain into a season of glorious harvest, a reminder that one life committed to Him can change the trajectory of many. As the stars twinkled above, a gentle whisper stirred in the wind, beckoning hearts to rise, to subscribe to the truth revealed through faith, to share this powerful testimony of hope with any who longed for revelation. Be the light in darkness, carry forth the legacy of faith. Don't wait another second. Subscription is free, so you need to seek after His word as it is written. Leave a like to spread God's undeniable truth into the world. Every heart can resonate with His mercy.
Comment below with your spiritual reflections, for your voice matters in this holy narrative. Share this with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's everlasting love, for this is the moment to lift souls closer to His promise. Together, may we embrace this sacred calling to testify, for who knows how our shared stories can reveal the divine plan unfolding before our very eyes.